It's something like a scene out of a horror movie. And the FBI has warned of an increased threat ahead of a surge in violence this holiday season. More scams that are targeting consumers and shoppers, while I just saw one of the worst things that I've seen in a very, very long time. And no, it wasn't the most recent shocking and deadly attack that just happened in Texas. No, these folks are out here doing the unthinkable. And it's almost like they're trying to one-up New York City in the recent stabbing and multiple homicides amongst family members that we talked about just the other day that happened in Queens. And I got to tell you guys, it's just so crazy to think that this is where I grew up as a kid. And I got to tell you, I'm so grateful to have escaped with my life. But sadly, down in Austin, Texas, a wild shooting spree leaves 6 people dead, 3 injured, including 2 police officers. After on Tuesday, a gunman in Austin, Texas went on a citywide shooting spree. Shane James, 34 years old, just absolutely loses it in what I have to chalk up to severe mental illness, in addition to gross neglect and oversight of how dangerous and deranged a person he has proven to be. Because you can't convince me that there weren't warning signs leading up to this complete meltdown and fatal explosion. Now, he has since been apprehended and was arrested and charged with capital murder of multiple persons. The violent rampage began at a school northeast of Austin, continuing across multiple locations for several hours. The first shooting occurred at Northeast Early College High School, where an Austin Independent School District police officer was shot in the leg. And subsequent shootings include a double homicide, the killing of a handyman and another woman, and the shooting of a cyclist. The spree ended with a burglary response by the police, where the suspect shot at officers, fled, and was later arrested following a car chase. The Austin Police Department's interim chief, Robin Henderson, stated that James no longer poses a threat, but the investigation is still in the early stages. Additionally, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office is investigating James's connection to another double homicide near San Antonio, and James faces multiple charges, including an outstanding warrant for assault with injury family violence. Yet we have new laws and bill proposals to lock up and throw the homeless and unhoused in jail for not complying with law enforcement to relocate to these overrun and crowded shelters that are severely underfunded. But hey, it's cool because we'll let these convicted felons and known criminals out to roam free on the streets and in possession of deadly weapons and firearms to wreak havoc and inflict harm on others, killing innocent people. But perhaps this is in order, based on warnings from FBI Director Christopher Wray, while on record during hearings, sounding the alarm and prophesizing the coming threat, which now I have to ask you all, I gotta ask you a serious question. Are you willing to give up your God-given and constitutional rights to privacy in exchange for what the FBI and the Department of Justice would want you to believe is enhanced security and protection from terrorists that are planning to attack Americans after crossing over our wide open and unprotected borders?
The head of the FBI is warning the U.S. that it's facing an unprecedented level of terror threats in the midst of the war between Israel and Hamas.
In fact, an intelligence report says the most likely primary targets could include churches, synagogues, and members of the Jewish community.
All the lights were blinking red before 9/11. Would you say that there's multiple blinking red lights out there?
I see blinking lights everywhere I turn. I've never seen a time where all the threats, or so many of the threats, are all elevated, all at exactly the same time.
And Wray, seen here on the screen, sits before a room full of lawmakers warning senators to beef up surveillance reauthorization. A man who, by most accounts from polling of the general public, can't be trusted.
We have absolutely no reason to trust you, because you haven't behaved in a manner that's trustworthy.
And all of this ahead of what I've been told is coming. And That's something called Black Christmas. Now, I got to tell you guys, I was taken back when I heard this initially, and I wasn't entirely familiar with the term. However, upon further investigation, I found out that Black Christmas is in fact a movie from 1974, and guess what? It'll be streaming online for everyone to see, so long as you have a Peacock account, which if you don't, it'll run you about $5.99 per month or $59.99 per year for premium, or $11.99 per month or $119.99 per year for premium plus. But more importantly, Black Christmas, the movie, is a film that follows a group of sorority girls who received lewd phone calls from an anonymous caller. These girls later become the victims of a suspicious killer, which I guess is supposed to be a festive holiday tale that the world really needs to see right now, that as a group of sorority girls are viciously murdered by an unknown masked murderer. These deaths are connected to the obscene phone calls that they have been receiving for days. And the film is deemed a slasher masterpiece that set the parameters for countless movies of a similar genre thereafter. And maybe, perhaps, what is a driving force behind some of the most gruesome massacres that are happening right now here in America on U.S. soil. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm so naive to believe that this just happens to be a coincidence, but let's just humor them for a moment here as we see some of the most ridiculously progressive introductions to not just TV, but also real life. Lifetime is pushing the limits with first Christmas movie sex scene. But hey, look, I guess at least it's with a real woman, right? Because meanwhile, AOC claims all underage women will face genital examinations if biological men are banned from female sports. I mean, folks, look, you really just can't make this shit up anymore. And FBI director says the Bureau is working around the clock against potential attacks inspired by Hamas. So listen up, folks. I'm not trying to scare anyone here with this information and latest breaking news, but do want you all to be aware and prepared. They are warning us, and I'm not so much thrilled about what I think is going to happen next. But hopefully I'm wrong. That would be a best case scenario. And today, my wife showed me something absolutely crazy on Instagram. And she asked me, she goes, "Hey, did you see where Kara and Nate went?" Now, I don't follow them on Instagram, and honestly, I really only have an IG just so I can have another way of connecting and communicating with you guys. But apparently, they posted something over there, and it is in reference to something called Krampus.
This might be the world's weirdest Christmas tradition.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see, this is what the spirit of the holiday has evolved into, guys. Krampus brings a dark winter, decked in horns and bells and carrying switches. And Krampus is said to punish misbehaving children around Christmas. Now, full disclosure and full transparency here, these images that you see on the screen are from an event that took place in Pennsylvania where Philadelphians dressed as the Krampus and other dark spirits and gathered at Liberty Lands Park in Northern Liberties. Here, they banded together and sang old folk songs from the Philadelphia's Women's Slavic Ensemble and held a sacrificial burning of dried plants from the park, while revelers took to the streets with lanterns and noisemakers as a community of how this one particular news periodical described them as kindred spirits. Yeah. Hundreds attended the annual parade of spirits, downplaying it all by saying people love making things and they love having a reason to make things. And the event has grown every year. All right. So when I tell you that I take these headlines seriously, please understand the place where my heart is coming from. FBI warns against violence this holiday season. Before being exposed to this, parade of spirits exhibiting the shadows of the holiday season, and then a stabbing at Philadelphia Macy's, and suspect charged with murdering security guard inside Philadelphia's Macy's after deadly stabbing. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, about that. So, 30-year-old Tyrone Garcelle Tunnel, who prior to killing security guard Eric Harrison had a history of retail theft and drug-related cases. Not to mention an active arrest warrant was out for him from a prior stabbing in Delaware County. Now arrested and charged with multiple offenses, including murder and attempted murder, following his most recent double stabbing at a Macy's store in Philadelphia, where one victim, Eric Harrison, at the extremely young age of 27 years old, died after having been stabbed in the neck, while a second victim, a 23-year-old young man, is in critical but stable condition after being stabbed in the face and in the arm. And the violent crime that ended a young man's life just happened after Tyrone, who was allegedly attempting to steal hats, was then confronted by the security guards, but then later returned back to the store to attack them. The interim police commissioner, John Stanford, expressed sorrow over the incident, noting its impact during a festive season and praising the quick actions of officers and the SEPTA or SEPTA police in apprehending Tyrone Tunnel. And the Macy's store, which reported 250 retail theft incidents this year, is expected to reopen today so that they can get back to making those cash registers ring from all the holiday sales. But I honestly have a hard time truly understanding and accurately identifying the real threat here and pinpointing who our true enemies are sometimes, because the lines have been getting extremely blurred. And in cities like New York, Austin, Atlanta, LA, Portland, Chicago, and now Philadelphia, I am truly concerned for the overall safety and well-being of America. Black, white, whatever. This is getting nuts, y'all. Here, take a look at this. The White House condemned the protest at an Israeli restaurant in Philadelphia, the falafel shop gov't, which has been a victim of anti-Jewish prejudice, is on the radar of the White House. And spokesman Andrew Bates criticized the targeting of restaurants serving Israeli food over disagreements with Israeli policies as anti-Semitic.
Tonight, the White House is condemning a pro-Palestinian protest outside a Jewish-owned restaurant in Philadelphia as completely unjustifiable and anti-Semitic.
The protest involved pro-Palestinian demonstrators chanting accusations of genocide outside gov't, which is co-owned by Israel-born chef Michael Solomonov. And this incident occurs amid a reporting surge in anti-Semitic and Islamophobic incidents in the U.S.
Purposeful gathering of a mob outside of a restaurant simply because it is owned by a Jewish person, well, that's anti-Semitism.
Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Senator John Fetterman, and Representative Brendan Boyle condemned the protest as anti-Semitic, while Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney indicated the city's Commission on Human Relations would investigate, emphasizing the city's stance against hate and bias. They said that the protest was part of a larger march in Philadelphia demanding a ceasefire in Gaza amidst the conflict between Israel and Hamas. The Philly-Palestine Coalition stated their mission was to oppose Palestinian oppression and local gentrification and not to focus solely on gov't. However, their flyers and pamphlets floating around the neighborhood appear to say and prove otherwise. But simultaneously, Jewish communities in the U.S. face challenges unrelated to Israel-Hamas conflict, and the Jewish community of the Virginia Peninsula expressed dismay over the cancellation of a menorah lighting in Williamsburg, asserting it is anti-Semitic to hold Jews responsible for Israel's policies. And also, what just happened in Moncton, Canada, where a menorah display was reportedly not allowed outside of City Hall, is also raising concerns about religious symbol representation. But unfortunately, Folks, this is only going to get worse. But also, hey, it's not always as it seems. FBI warns against violence this holiday season, and according to the FBI, groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS will likely use the Israel-Hamas war to increase calls for violence in the United States this holiday season. A joint bulletin released by the FBI shows the most likely targets include churches, synagogues, and members of the Jewish community. And FBI Director Christopher Wray says the U.S. is facing the highest risk of attack in years and that terrorists may exploit the southern border. May? Come on, give me a break. Look, I'm a big boy, okay? You don't have to dance around and beat around the bush. Just tell it to me straight, okay? But honestly, I don't think being entirely forthcoming with information is one of Ray's strong suits or most admirable character traits. FBI chief warns Hamas-inspired terror threats have reached unprecedented level. And FBI Director Christopher Wray claimed that terror threats have stood at an unprecedented level since Hamas' attack on Israel in October, as he urged lawmakers in a congressional hearing to renew a controversial law that allows for the warrantless surveillance of certain foreign targets, claiming it has crucial national security value. All right. Let me repeat that for you. I'm going to repeat it for all of you so that everyone can hear me, even those in the back, okay? Warrantless surveillance. Yeah. Just let that sink in, folks. Now, I would be very alert and continuously aware, folks, of the consequences and implications of their actions that just so happen to align with their own goals and agenda that is being rapidly processed through based on a variety of conflicts and distractions from the Middle East, the southern border, and in your hometowns and in cities where we live, like New York and now Philadelphia. And I thought that the epidemic on Kensington Avenue was bad. Apparently, we ain't seen nothing yet. Stay tuned, stay smart, stay safe. Thank you guys for watching, and God willing, I will be back soon with another video to share with you all of the latest and breaking news, updates, and alerts. These are the warnings that we've been talking about all along, and we mustn't lose sight or focus, and we have to stick together. They would rather we be clueless and left in the dark, but we aren't going to let that happen, are we? Give this video a like and subscribe if you're interested in continuing this dialogue and expanding on these topics, as we continue to seek the truth and increase our own education and knowledge, which we must have first and foremost in order to have a fighting chance. And honestly, some pew-pew, of course, is never a bad idea to have and not need, opposed to needing and not having. And trust me when I tell you that I don't want you to be scared or afraid. I'm not trying to monger fear and instigate an exaggeration of alarm. And I just wanted you all to know that. And it means a lot to me to see so many people who are on the same page and out there operating day to day with sound mind and good judgment. I am honestly honored to be in your company. Be blessed, y'all.
I can tell you my problems, meditating my silence. But I keep pushing my pen, rotating my stylus. Brokenness feeling like sin, now no breath, low dollar. Used to be left on red, now all the girls go holler. Now all the girls go follow. All the fake fans gon' pop.